Hello, team, and welcome to episode 18 of Creative English 2025. Make the odds be ever in your favor. Yes, we have been watching the Hunger Games, so that's why I chose this title. But, team, today we will be starting a new group. I'm not going to call it a season because it's just 2 months, but over the following 2 months, we will be talking about little words, specifically little words that cause big impacts or big problems, specifically for my Brazilian students. And when I started making a list of words I wanted to talk about, it kept growing. So we are going to need 2 months for this. And team, this week we will be starting with an Iberic problem, because I think our Spanish-speaking friends will have this difficulty too, which is about separating make from do. And if I were to teach the future, the rules for a non-native are the same for a native. You use going to, use will, great. But with something like this, it's complicated because English was not made for people learning English as a second language. So for native speakers, make and do, it's not something we need to compare. But for somebody learning the language, they can be confusing. So today we will try to simplify this a little bit for you guys. So it was Cinco de Mayo on Monday, and I love Mexican food. It's my favorite type of food. So I celebrated with some tacos and some guacamole. And how about you? What would you like to celebrate Cinco de Mayo with? What's your go-to favorite Mexican food? And this is a fun question. We got some good answers. What is a Brazilian day, celebration, tradition that should be adopted internationally? Some people said Festa Junina. Could be a lot of fun. Personally, I think we should just have a Brazilian-style barbecue, preferably on the beach, farofeiro style. But what do you think? What would be a Brazilian tradition worth spreading around the world? Now, even though this question I don't think is directed to me, do you use make or do more when speaking? Let me explain. In my experience, there are two main mistakes related to make and do. Number one, too many makes when it should be do. I have some students who they will just kind of go to make as their first option when they want to say something. And they'll use more makes than they should. Problem number one. Problem number two is the extra do's. And grammatically, it's not usually wrong. I can say I'm going to swim. I can also say I'm going to do some swimming, but it is unnecessary. It's just a little bit superfluous. So when I hear too many do's, usually my students are adding extra words. And this is happening even in Portuguese because new vocabulary is coming from English, and they're coming with a fazer. Here we just say I downloaded a file, but in Portuguese you'd say you do a download, so fazer download. So this has been increasing, I think, the uses of do among my students. So those are the two main problems I see. If you hear yourself saying make too many times, it might be time to switch it to a do. And if you hear yourself saying do too many times, it might be an opportunity to just remove some. All right. So I'm going to compare them in 3 different ways. Hopefully, it'll help you out. Number one is the attention. And whether tangible, like a cake, when you take a piece of paper and make a ball, or intangible, make a question, make an impression. I can't hold a question in my hand. So whether tangible or intangible, make involves creating something. And creating is a key word with make. The attention will be on the result of the action. And I have a friend who once explained it that he understands it as make is a process that ends differently than it starts. I think it's a cool way to think about it. If it helps you, you can take it. So make, when you start something, you will end with a new result. I think it's a good way of thinking about it. While do focuses on performing the action itself. I guess another way to say would be that do emphasizes the process. And I always use this example. Well, I'll ask you. The teacher and the student. In Portuguese, we're both going to say fazer o para casa. Which one is make? Which one is do? Well, the teacher is making the homework. He creates it. And it's very easy, so the students can all do it. They can execute the exercises. Number 2 is specificity. With make, it's almost like everybody spoke English, got together and said, yeah, that one's going to be make, that's make, that's make. And the uses are pretty specific. It would be weird if I heard somebody saying, do a question, do a cake. Now, with do, it's more general. And I can prove it to you with one question. What did you do this weekend? And you can say, I swam, I went, I played, I watched, I ate, I drank. And you can give me 50 different answers without using the word do. I can tell you that I'm doing stuff on my cell phone. And I don't know what that means. I know you're using your cell phone, but maybe I am sending a message. Maybe I'm paying a bill. Maybe I'm reading an article. Maybe I'm watching a video. So do is pretty general. Maybe you can say it's a little vague. And we use it for kind of routine tasks or chores. So some examples here. I need to do the laundry. And I guess you could say wash your clothes, but do the laundry is just the traditional way of saying it. Do the dishes. I didn't have to go and create dishes. If I would say I was making a dish, it would mean I was cooking something. And we have to make the grocery list. Why? It's not going to write itself. So with make, I have to create this list. Number 3, which I think is pretty cool, is make has a greater sense of agency than do. I don't have an exact translation of agency into Portuguese, but agency has to do with a feeling of control over the results and the outcome in your life. And make has this connotation and do does not. So for example, you make money. You're going to go out, you're going to work hard, and you're going to make this money appear in your bank account. And maybe João needs to talk to me, but I don't have time. So I'm going to make time in my schedule. You're going to make something happen. So you sometimes will see this with like an athlete, like a soccer player. It scores tied, and they just say, "Give me the goal. I'll make this goal happen." So make has a sense of agency of getting the job done that do does not have. All right. Team 20, fill in the blank questions with make or do. Congratulations to Mr. Ihiki. He got the full 100%, 20 out of 20. He was the only one. So congratulations. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Our expression of the week, a big deal. Oof, I can't say what this word is before. I am sorry. But a big deal, you can say somebody is a big deal. They're important. And in this case, don't a big deal. It's like, yeah, let's not start something. Let's not turn this into something. In Gringo news, we released GPT, the Gringo personal teacher this week. It is the beta test. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you are testing it out, if you have any English-related questions, this is the person to ask. I uploaded my PDFs, I gave it access to my YouTube channel, and I trained it to use some techniques that I have found useful with my students over a decade and a half teaching English. So if you have any English questions, GPT is the person to ask. Your Gringo personal teacher. And like this guy says, the only way to keep AI from taking your job is to use AI to do your job better. So if you can't beat them, join. Team, a little game. We only have one round today, but we are going to be playing some action charades. And all of the following clues, they either start with do or make. I have offered my students 40 options, 20 with do, 20 with make. Grab a partner, and the way we played it in class was you have 3 minutes to get the other person to guess as many as possible, and we put a limit of 10 points. All right? I'm going to go quickly through the next part so you don't see the questions. Right. And our talking point this week was Mexico, and I went there once when I was younger. Very cool. I would love to go back for the beaches, the food, the pyramids, lucha libre. I would love to see a lucha libre match. Lots of cool things there. And I really think that the Americas lost a lot in not having a written history from before, I guess, the Europeans. So I would love to know what was going on You know, here in Brazil and Mexico and all of here of, I guess, Latin America, thousands of years ago. I think Mexico has some very cool history to share with us. And let me see. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about Mexico? Lucha Libre. When I was younger, I was a big wrestling fan, and my personal favorite was Pentagon. He's a more recent wrestler, but I like his style. And I think these guys here are the true ambassadors of Mexican and Brazilian relations. And I think you'll find many Brazilians who kind of think that Chavo del Ocho is more Brazilian than Mexican. But team, that's what I've got for you. Like always, it's a pleasure. Thank you, and I hope to see you in class. Have a good one.